Can I ask you to clarify on the question of the pension, because it is an argument that the Conservatives are continually using. Are you eligible for a pension in February?
We finally have the interview all of you want to see. It's Vasi Capello's grilling Jagmeet Singh on his pension. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David, and today's top stories, we have not only this one, we also have Justin Trudeau's campaign manager has quit. He's thrown in the towel. He's had enough. This is unbelievable. The Trudeau castle is crumbling. They are falling. First off, we're starting with Jagmeet getting grilled here by Vasi on his pension. This interview here, it's more of the exact same thing Jagmeet said in all his other press conferences. So if you want to see a lot more Jagmeet, I have a video on my second channel where he gets grilled at a press conference, which I'll link up at the end.
I have to also ask you, Mr. Singh, why now? And in particular, you know, I've done so many interviews with you. I'm sure you're sick of them, where I ask you the question, like, this is the way in which you're describing the government. Why are you still keeping them in power? I don't understand what changed, you know, saliently over the last number of days or weeks that led you to make this decision now versus, let's say, 6 months ago. You point to corporate greed, for example, particularly in the grocery sector. Food prices were at their highest over a year ago, and the government wasn't doing much even then. Why didn't that force you to make this decision? Is this more about really polling and your electoral chances, and some would accuse in the Conservatives your pension?
Not at all. First of all, let's put that to rest. That's a lie by being propagated by Pierre Poilievre, who's, I think, got his full pension when he was like 31. So I don't know. He wants to cut people's pensions. Speaking of pensions, he wants to cut seniors' pensions. I mean, that's what we should be talking about, the fact that we want to defend and strengthen people's pensions, and he wants to cut them. I think people should know about that. But when it comes to decision, we always knew that at some point we would have to make this decision, that we weren't going to.
So he glazes over the pension, but don't worry, she brings it back up.
Stay in this forever, and we make that decision based on a whole host of factors. What we saw was that we got a lot of things done. We were able to get the dental care program out the door. Pharmacare steps have been passed in Parliament. So a lot of the work that we wanted to do is done. And it became very clear, more and more evidence mounted that the Liberals were simply too beholden to corporate interest.
What's the evidence?
And that's not going to meet the needs of Canadians.
With due respect, what is the recent evidence that underscores that point that didn't already exist 6 or 8 months ago?
This guy saying they got all this stuff done is like a lukewarm dental plan and a lukewarm pharmacare plan.
I would say the approach towards working people when it comes to the rail workers. I was really concerned about that. I raised those concerns very publicly, that these workers were just asking for more safety, and that CP and CPKC and CN Rail, in a lot of ways, what looks like a collusion of timing this together. They locked out the workers. First of all, the workers weren't even on strike. They locked out the workers, and the workers weren't even able to negotiate before they were forced to binding arbitration. Another example of the Liberals caving to the corporate interest instead of letting workers fight out and get a fair deal at the table.
Jagmeet here is using this as an excuse to rail workers. It really wasn't that at all. It comes down to the by-elections that are coming up. He doesn't want the NDP to lose seats, and that's why he basically pulled the plug here. But he's still going to be supporting Trudeau. He just wants to posture and try to get some more support. So jumping ahead here in the interview, about 6 minutes later, Vasi asks him again about the pension. And it's like very point blank.
I mean, their argument is that a whole ton of other workers would have been impacted by a stoppage on the rail network. But I do take your point. Can I ask you to clarify on the question of the pension, because it is an argument that the Conservatives are continually using. Are you eligible for a pension in February because of when you were elected in the by-election? And has that factored into your decision-making in all of this, or will it factor into your decision-making in perhaps prompting an election? Can I just get you on the record on that?
Not at all. It's a ludicrous suggestion. I'm obviously going to get reelected in my riding. I'm not worried about that at all. This is a silly argument being bought by Conservatives, but it's on purpose. And the reason why Pierre Poilievre is doing this, because he wants to distract from what he wants to do. He wants to destroy the dental care program for seniors. So for your parents, for your grandparents, he doesn't think they deserve to get their teeth looked after. He wants to get rid of this entirely. Not only that, he also wants to get rid of our universal healthcare system. He's been very open about that. He doesn't want to see a public healthcare system. He wants to see it entirely private. So that's what he's distracting from. He knows he's lying, and he knows that he's distracting from the fact that he wants to destroy not only dental care, but our healthcare system as well. We're going to keep on fighting to defend it because we believe in it. We believe no one should have to worry about how much money they have in their pocket to be able to get good quality care in our country. We're going to fight to make sure our healthcare is there for people, and we're going to fix it.
So let's just dig into this a little bit more, because he says it's obvious that he's going to get reelected. Let's see about that. Let's look this up. Jagmeet's so confident about winning his seat again. The whole pension thing is ridiculous, right? Well, we've got Burnaby South, which is his riding. Now, if you look here, Burnaby South is right here, Burnaby South Metrotown. So in 2023, they used to have these ones, and now it says under latest report, Burnaby's ridings will be known as, so they've changed them around a bit. But anyways, this is Burnaby South here, this block, that's Jagmeet's. Now, if we look at 38 Canada, this website just takes all the polling stuff and puts it into one source. And you can see the NDP are only projected to get 5 seats in BC. Now, if we look at this map they have on here, this basically, you got all the numbers up here, the current polling. But here's a map with all the different ridings. Now, if you zoom out, you can see here, blue is Conservative, green, Gulf Islands. Basically, this is the only seat that the Green Party wins. Down Victoria here, they're still a little bit behind times with the orange of the NDP. But if we zoom in to Jagmeet's riding here, it's actually technically right here. So they've split these up. But anyways, if we just look in general here, Burnaby, we're not seeing, this is not too orange here. The New Westminster is orange here. You can see projected 41% on the screen there, 41 and 33% Conservative. But we're going to look at some charts to show you that these numbers are changing fast. Now, Burnaby, this section here, which says Burnaby Central, which was, I guess, it's kind of like half of Jagmeet's section here. 35% Conservative projected win, 34% NDP. If we look in the southern one here, which is now Vancouver, Fraser View, South Burnaby, you can see MP new boundaries there. So it's 35% Liberal, 34% Conservative with 26% NDP. So this is not so cut and dry here. So if we look at the Burnaby Central one, I mean, you can see here, like, it's a close race. And here's that Vancouver Fraser View South Burnaby, also a close race with not the NDP though, with the Liberals. So that's the federal polling. If we look at provincial polling, because typically people who vote for NDP provincially will vote NDP federally. So this is just a metric to look at as well. Look what we've got here. John Rustad has taken this party from 0 to 44% in 1 year. This is why David Eby's sweating. And we look at this graph here. I mean, this is the rise of the Conservatives here in BC. Look at this. This is changing fast. If we look back at Fraser View here, South Burnaby, I mean, NDP is dropping off a cliff here. And if we look at Burnaby Central, look at this graph, you can see NDP also dropping off a cliff here and the Conservatives going up. So this is going to be tight. This is not a guaranteed win for Jagmeet. I think he's quaking in his boots.
I'm obviously going to get reelected in my riding. I'm not worried about that at all.
You know, for Canadians watching right now, Mr. Singh, the Prime Minister keeps getting questions about whether he should remain as leader because of where public opinion polling for his party sits. At the same time, while the Liberals have had, dwindling, to say the least, political fortunes, your party has not been able to capitalize on that at all. Your polls have remained fairly stagnant for the last 3 years. Should people be asking you if you should remain on as the NDP's leader? Are you asking yourself that? And how much responsibility do you bear for the lack of success for your party?
We brought in the biggest expansion of healthcare in a generation. I'm proud of the work that we've done. I'm running to be Prime Minister of this country, and I'll be leading the party to the next election, absolutely.
So do you not feel like you bear any responsibility for being unable to capitalize on the Liberals' fall from grace among Canadians?
We're going to be running to form government in the next election. I'm running for Prime Minister.
Respectfully, that's not really an answer. Like, are you worried at all about the fact that you haven't been able?
Respectfully, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm running for Prime Minister. I'm running to beat the Conservatives. I'm running to make sure that this country has someone that's going to be on their side.
And I understand what you're saying. I think Canadians understand that you are going to run to lead the party. Do you bear any responsibility, though, for the hill that party has to climb in order to be competitive with the Conservatives in the next election? You have framed the choice as very obvious for Canadians and the consequences as very dire if the Conservatives win, but your party has not been able to compete with them. Is that at all your responsibility?
Well, it's a serious fight. There's no question about it. I'm not in any ways going to diminish the challenge in front of us. We've got a very big challenge. But it's clear that people are done with the Liberals. They're done with Justin Trudeau. And so when people want to replace Justin Trudeau, they're going to have to look to 2 choices. For federal parties, there's the Conservatives or the New Democrats. They want to change election. They want to get rid of Justin Trudeau, which people tell me they're frustrated with them. There's 2 choices. Not to say that this challenge is easy by any means. It's a very big challenge. But I want Canadians to know the choice is Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, who are very open. They're going to cut your pensions, they're going to cut health care, and they're going to let big corporations rip you off. Or New Democrats who want to restore hope. We want to build and strengthen our healthcare system and your pensions and stop these corporations from ripping you off. That's not easy. I know that's going to be an uphill battle, but that's the choice in front of Canadians.
I will leave.
If you just ask anyone today about their pension, most people say their pensions have been cut since the Liberals / NDP have gotten into power. Vasi is just sticking it to him there. You know, he's not answering the question, taking responsibility. The look on Vasi's face when he spews his fiction is hilarious. Very refreshing to see a journalist putting politicians on the spot and asking difficult questions. In the final segment with Jagmeet here, he's asked about the by-election, and he brings up Danielle Blakey. We'll just let this play first.
As a final question, you're framing the election now as a choice between you and Mr. Poilievre. And that we don't know when the next election is going to be, but we know when the by-election in Elmwood-Transcona is going to be. That's on September 16th. That is an NDP seat. The Blakeys have held that. Daniel Blakey left to go back and work for Wab Kinew and put this seat into play. Conservatives have a chance to win this.
So before we get into that, let's just go down memory lane. Does everyone remember Daniel Blakey and his last day in Parliament? He went to go work with Wab Kinew, as he said here, David Cochrane said, to work provincially. He stepped down federally to go work provincially. And his last day of work, does anyone remember that? So loading up my video here from 6 months ago. This is Daniel Blakey on his last day in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, during question period, the member from Elmwood-Transcona issued a repulsive, vulgar, and unparliamentary remark to members of the Conservative opposition. I would like, through you, to ask him to withdraw those repulsive remarks.
Rising on his feet.
Here he comes.
Mr. Speaker, in the course of expressing concerns for the tongue of certain Conservative members that I feared would get stuck in the backside of their leader as he exited the chamber, I did indeed use unparliamentary language. And for that...
That's just vile, man. So that's what Daniel Blakey said. He was worried his tongue would get stuck in the backside of the Conservative Party's leader's
I do unconditionally apologize for the comments, although I do insist on the importance.
That's not an apology. So that was smug little Daniel Blakey on his last day of Parliament. So let's jump back over to Jagmeet now in the CBC here.
If you lose that seat to the Conservatives, are you really the credible alternative to Pierre Poilievre?
Right now, people in that by-election have a choice. And that's an important choice. I'm going to continue to put that choice to the people of Elmwood-Transcona. I'm actually headed there in a day. I'll be there tomorrow. And folks are going to have a choice in that by-election. Do they want to support the Conservative cuts of Pierre Poilievre? They rejected that in Manitoba.
But what if they vote for it? What if they vote for it? What if they say yes? What if they vote for the Conservative agenda and not for your agenda after you have defined the choice Canadians are facing in these stark terms? What does that tell you about this move?
Well, I'm not going to answer hypothetical. We don't know the outcome of that election until it happens. But I can tell you what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go to Manitoba. I'm going to Winnipeg. Like I said, tomorrow I'll be there. And I'll be sharing with folks our vision.
So Jamie just goes on to ramble there more as usual, but basically that by-election is incredibly important because it goes to show how much of the people of Canada are shifting over to Conservative, voting Conservative. And with that major shift, we've got the next story here. This is Justin Trudeau's campaign manager he's quit. He's been with him for 10 years and he's called it quits.
And the Liberals have actually taken another major blow today, just 24 hours after the NDP ended its supply and confidence deal with the Liberals. The party's national campaign director, Jeremy Broadhurst, announced his resignation. Now, without NDP support, a federal election could be triggered by a vote of no confidence at any point. In a statement posted to social media, Broadhurst confirmed his resignation, citing the pressures of the job that the job has placed on him and his family. Broadhurst served as national director of the Liberal Party from 2013 to 2015 and served as campaign director in 2019. He officially leaves his position on September 30th.
You just know Justin Trudeau is just seething that he's lost another person that was one of his loyal supporters. He's just all, we thought Jeremy Broadhurst was a loyal little boy. It turns out, he was just a hot dog.
It's a blow. It is a problem for the federal Liberals. You know, Jeremy, I've known him for some time. He is a very capable, very smart guy, and you know, he's got that commodity that is most valuable in politics. He's a winner. He's won campaigns, and you know, perhaps he looked at what's coming and felt that it was not a winning campaign and stepped away. But for the Liberal Party of Canada, this is a big loss.
That's exactly it. He stepped down because he knew they can't win, and if someone, that's his job, is winning campaigns, and that's what his record has been so far, why would he taint his record with this losing Liberal Party? It makes no sense. He might as well just step down. He can go get another job, not have a tainted record. That's what's going on here. He's jumped ship on Justin Trudeau and completely bailed on him.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, his reasons. You say perhaps he looked down the line and thought maybe they wouldn't win. He's saying it's because of pressures on his family. What do you make of his reason?
Well, the Toronto Star has done some excellent reporting on this, and they are reporting that he told the Prime Minister, "You are going to lose. You are going to lose the next election, and I cannot deliver a win to you." And apparently, according to the Star, he felt that he needed to step away. And I think if he said that to the Prime Minister, he should step away, because if you know, you need a campaign manager, you need a campaign director, whoever he or she is, who believes that they can win and has the plan to do so, has the blueprint. So, but the landscape, as you pointed out off the top, it's pretty tough for the Liberal Party of Canada right now. You know, behind between 15 and 20 points for more than a year. That's a big hill to climb, and perhaps Jeremy felt he couldn't climb it.
Yeah, talk to me about the kind of pressure you think the party is feeling, maybe behind closed doors, because now that a non-confidence vote could trigger an election, it could happen sooner, much sooner than expected. And as of the end of the month, they don't have anyone to run a campaign. So what's the conversation like?
I've been speaking to members of caucus today, and they are distressed because this isn't the only, challenge that they're facing. There is the situation in the polls. They've had some open criticism of the leadership of the party, both Mr. Trudeau and the people around him in the Prime Minister's office. And, the other big problem they've got is they've tried, you look over the past few weeks, they've tried everything they can. They've thrown everything at the wall to see what sticks, and nothing really has.
Yeah, that's because the Trudeau Liberals have destroyed Canada. There's no, it's not like they look at it like poll numbers and points. Oh, they were 20 points behind. It's like, no, you've lost the trust. You don't get those points back. It'll take decades to even try to get those points back. You lost the trust of Canadians. You're done. The Liberals are done. Broadhurst knew this. He jumped ship because he didn't want Trudeau's skid mark stain on his record. Jumping over to X, let's round out some news with some nuttiness here in Canada. We've got a police arrest going on here. Look at this. Got him pinned in there. People are still coming and going out of this Tim Hortons, despite there being a Bronco trying to floor it to get out of there. So I don't know how they got the guy out, but yeah, only in Canada. And speaking of Tim Hortons, we've got Tim Hortons here in Vancouver. It's turning into zombie land in Vancouver. Here we've got some homeless encampments in Montreal and Quebec City are growing rapidly. This is disgusting. Yeah, doesn't look like the Trudeau Liberals' environment plan is working out here, making Canadians homeless. It's making the environment worse. Because I can only imagine the toxins going into the ground and the soil and the water, having all this plastic junk and stuff littered everywhere. Yes, no, how's it working out, Guibo? Just sad. This is quite a long video. We'll skip ahead here. I mean, it's just tent after tent after tent. Trudeau's Canada, everyone. Canadians living in tents, the only thing people can afford to live in. Jumping over to my group, let's see what memes we got today. Do people in electric cars listen to AC/DC or something current? Oh, that's a slimy joke. Labor voters, Labor politicians, no kidding. The Liberal fan bus, yeah, it's getting about that size. Jagmeet Singh, I did it my way. Yeah. NDP credibility is crumbling. Trudeau's Canadian Army. There you have it. Jagmeet Singh thinks he's going to be winning his seat, no problem. And the pension, oh, that's no problem. No problem at all. What do you guys think about that?
I'm obviously going to get reelected in my riding. I'm not worried about that at all.
And will we be seeing Poopy Pants Trudeau now that Jeremy Broadhurst has quit his job, making it the next person to abandon Justin Trudeau? How many more are on the way?